Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm here today with another video in my series of Learn Tarot videos. And today we're looking at the last of the court cards, the Kings. So I'm going to put timestamps in this video so you can watch as little or as much of it as you'd like. I'm just going to give you a little introduction to the court cards and to the Kings, and then we'll get straight on with the suits of the Kings. So the court cards, well, the major arcana, they represent the questioner's psychological state. The court cards will then expand the reader's information about their psychological state with details of relationships, personality traits, and really the creative potential of a person in a much more positive way and a much more specific way. So the court cards act as a bridge between the minor and major arcana. In their higher realms, they can represent the 16 types of self-mastery, and at the lower realms, they can symbolize the 16 types of traits or personality traits in a person, or ways that we cope with a very difficult and sometimes chaotic world. They can represent the major personal archetype for the querent, so for yourself, or they can represent a significant other in your life. So when we think about Kings in particular, to me they represent fire, passion, the driving force of life. They stand for personal power. They can represent males or females. They are people of authority and influence. They like to be right. They have high aspirations and they like to have the best. But they can't do things alone. They need the help of the Queen to carry out their enterprises, in a similar way to the Emperor, who would become, I guess, kind of a monster really without the Empress to balance out some of those masculine energies. So I'm going to pause the video now, and then I will be back with the King of Swords. So the King of Swords in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck here. This is a very rational and kind of somber energy here, I guess. This king is more closed than the Queen of Swords. She sat with her hand extended, didn't she, out towards, I guess, her audience or her people to invite them forward, whereas this king is a little bit more aloof, I feel. He still has his sword pointed towards the sky, pointed straight upwards towards a higher consciousness. And I believe, I remember from reading about the symbology on these cards, that the butterflies here on his throne, as you can see those there, they represent this quality of transformation and higher consciousness also. So the King of Swords, his archetype really would be the judge, I guess. In his higher realms, he represents balanced judgment, intellectual prowess, a focused and intentional and determined mind, somebody who's a dynamic thinker, somebody organised and analytical, a strategic thinker, somebody scientific. They could be mathematical. They could have a love of the intellectual sort of concepts of truth and justice. This king is authoritative, commanding. He's a person of many ideas. I think he's learnt to control his emotions in order to see problems objectively and to brainstorm new and better solutions, really. I think this king would be a fair and kind partner and father. They could be a lawyer, a judge, a musician, maybe even a politician, dare I say, the dreaded word of a politician. They could be a designer, a scientist. I think this is really generally a careful man with high standards and high ideals, and they can often be seen as a loner. In their lower realms, this person could lack in any depth of feeling, really. They could be very non-emotional and aloof and unresponsive. They could be perceived as cold and lacking of compassion. They could intellectualize things as a defense. They could be seen as shallow and untrustworthy, overcautious, and somebody who judges harshly. In the cosmic tarot deck here, this lovely King of Swords here, we can see in his face he's very sharp and very focused, just like, I guess, the falcon and the sword that he carries there, really. Very precise and very focused. And then in the Mary L deck here we've got, which I shall read from the book. Really interesting card, isn't it? So this king is a warrior, a soldier. He is hard, lean and weathered. He has been marked with a golden dragon and the gold rays of the sun. Gold is the colour of our exaltation in air, and this is something this king needed to live up to, as he acquired pinprick after pinprick of golden ink, and now in his vast experience he has the ferocity and skill to wear this dragon proudly and with honour. Do you remember I showed you in the page, was it the Page of Swords or the Knight of Swords? There was also a dragon tattoo, wasn't there? Beautiful red tattoo, I remember. The rays of light coming out of his head and the arrows and swords with which he conquers the world are ink-tipped quills. He is reason, the charioteer who rises above the nature of sun and the moon in him to develop his own soul with his God-given gifts and skills. As a human, the greatest gift he has is the word. Words and sword are nearly identical words, which is true, isn't it? I'd never looked at it like that before, actually. We see the world created with words. Our world is. We have evolved into something new because of words. We have developed amazing technology because we are no longer limited to one person's lifetime of knowledge, or just what can be contained in the subconscious. We can now record and pass on very precise knowledge and experience of genius and idiots alike, and contain it in vast libraries and reservoirs to be built on. We do this with the pen and with word. Our ability to communicate and record that communication is our greatest strength and gift to the universe. This king not only redeems himself, but he redeems mankind as well. Swords have traditionally been seen very negatively. They contain that aspect as they are very full of contrasts of good and bad. But don't ever overlook the good in swords, which it has in abundance. It is very balanced by nature. Don't overlook the good in mankind. I have to agree with that, actually. I think that the suit of swords is often a suit that is seen very negatively, and actually I resonate quite strongly often with the suit of swords. I think some of my favourite cards actually are in the suit of cards, so that's good to read. So the key words of this king are, in his upright position, he knows his truth and has mastered truth. He passes truth on through teaching, writing and mentoring. He's a scholar and a philosopher, honest and direct. He achieves immortality through his work. But in his lower realms, he could be aesthetic and Spartan, ascetic, I think I've said that right, and Spartan, stern, tough, strict, self-punishment, self-flagellation, ew, self-hate and blame, regret. He turns his arrows back on his self. He can be cold and lacking emotion. So there we go. Interesting. I very much like the Suit of Swords, to be honest. Okay, so I shall be back with the King of Cups. So the King of Cups. I think in the Rider-Waite-Smith here, he's a master of feeling. I think this is somebody that is artistic and cultured and kind of able to roll with the ebb and flow of life. You know, his throne is sat upon the water, isn't it? So he's right in the midst of the ebb and flow of life. His archetype really could be the Godfather, I think. In his higher realms, this is somebody that's artistic and in touch with the world of feelings with which he seeks to form relationships. He's compassionate, empathic, loving and fatherly. Could be responsible, creative, kindly and interested in the arts and sciences. He's dignified. His kingdom is his family, and his family comes first. He could be old-fashioned with strong ethics and slightly eccentric. This is a patient and gentle, caring man, intuitive and generous, with deep emotions, and he's often unaware of these. He could be a chef, a historian, a bookstore owner, a therapist, a counsellor, a decorator, a restorer, any of those kind of things really. In his lower realms though, he artistically expresses his pain and ugliness. He could be of bad temperament, he could be dishonest and a person without virtue. He could be vain and seek relationships that just feed his ego. He can be moody and overly sensitive and can be emotionally immature and depressed. In the Cosmic Tarot deck here, this beautiful king here, who you can see the gentleness in his face actually. He's a much softer featured man with a very gentle and sort of humane face, I think there really. Yeah. And then in the Mary L deck, let's have a look. We've got the gods of the oceans are always incredibly powerful and mysterious. When all else fails, the ocean comes and wipes out whatever problem there were as if it never even existed. That's true, isn't it? Quite scary. So this is Poseidon, and the blue flowers are the blue lotus. They are intoxicating and speak of this king's precedence over sleep and altered states, the subconscious and the active subconscious. Where he is, there is no time like we know it. There is no reality or gravity as we know it. It is the home of our imagination, of dreams of fiction and of mythology of the moon. The King of Cups is mastery over your own subconscious, over your animal nature and desires. This is incredibly difficult and powerful. If you can master this, you can rise above everything and see the face of God, or the most objective truth that there is at the centre of the universe. But as mere men, it is so difficult to control these desires that even the greatest of men can only do it for a short time before they crash to the ground. Even so, just a glimpse of eternity is enough to transform your soul completely and change you forever. Your awareness will never be the same. As with all the water cards, emotions may lay on the surface, sometimes confusing and unwanted, just like dreams, seeming gibberish at times. but they all have meaning. The surface of the water is pushed up and down by what is going on in the depths. It is never meaningless. It is like laying the hand on someone's chest and feeling the heartbeat within. Emotions are the communication of the beating heart deep within the chest, and you feel them most when there is a problem or they are working hard. So in its upright position, this is artistic, diplomatic, bringing what is dark into light, bringing things to the surface. Someone with deep creative and artistic vision, someone able to change the world with their vision, a transformational figure. Someone with a big heart and a capacity for love. An instant when a solution becomes clear, an epiphany, and a conscious grasp of something. But reversed and in its lower realms, the blue lotus and King of Cups can be very seductive and intoxicating. It can lead to obsessions and addictions. It can lead you to be preoccupied and mesmerized, self-medicating, and being a workaholic. So there we go. That's very interesting, isn't it? So there we are. So next is the King of Pentacles. Okay, so the King of Pentacles. I think to me this is a king who's kind of always planning and plotting and preparing for what's next, really. He could be thinking about what to do with his pentacle. Is he going to plant it in the ground? Is he going to sow the seed? Or is he going to hold on to it for a time? In this card, I think we can see grapes there, which represent abundance and growth. This is a slow but very powerful energy, I think, the King of Pentacles. So I think his archetypal sort of image could be as a sort of tough old farmer. In his higher realms, this is a traditionalist, somebody who achieves through hard work, somebody sensible and mature, not a gambler for sure. His kingdom is his business. He's proud and self-reliant. He's ambitious, a person of character and intelligence. He has the ability to manifest desires at a material level. He has a lot of business acumen. He can be generous with his possessions and a very loyal friend, a reliable and caring partner in marriage, and somebody who's likely to make wise investments. He's somebody who could work hard and play hard. He's practical and reliable. This is a man really that values and oversees, I guess, things that you can accomplish on our earth plane, you know, the major works on our earthly plane. So he could be a farmer, an engineer, an architect, a manager of some kind, an owner of a business, an entrepreneur. In his lower realms, though, he could be seen as greedy, thriftless, hedonistic, have a desire for power in others' eyes. He could be unfaithful. He could be unconscious of his own potential for corruption. He could be compulsive and want ownership over others, and he could be vengeful and unforgiving, I believe. In the Cosmic Tarot here, this lovely king here with his very smiley, friendly face, he's generous, I would say. He's there with his pentacles, isn't he? And I think in the background of this card here, we can see a goat, can't we? So this is perhaps representing Capricorn. And then with the Mary L deck, we've got someone who looks very much like Pan to me. You know, that sort of earthly pleasures kind of vibe going on there. But as per usual in the Mary L book, she's described him as somebody very different. She said here, this very earthy looking image is really a picture of the universe. It is Atom, the first creator god. And she says here, Atom had sex with himself. And out of that sex, he created the universe from his own flesh. And this beginning of matter became a tree, a fantastic acacia tree that grows and branches containing all life that ever exists and all matter. The whole of the manifest universe is a giant tree growing at both ends, flowering, branching and fruiting. What else have we got here? The King of Discs is the completer, the finisher, and that is what the word tem, which Atom is based on, means. He is the manifest king, the king of all the elements, and he is eating the fruit of life. As God eats the universe he creates from his flesh. The wheel turns, but it won't end today. Maybe he will just lick it for a little while now. Meet life with lust. So this is kind of a Pan type energy, isn't it? A very pagan Pan. In his upright positions, this says, a heaven or hell of your own making. Your life is your creation and kingdom, and you own the whole thing. A luscious, sensual celebration of life, perfection in nature, paradise, kingdom, heaven, and eternity is now. And reversed, this card can represent hedonism, too much pleasure and indulgence, gratification, and grateful delight, it says here. So there we go. So that is the King of Pentacles. And lastly, we've got the King of Wands. Okay, so the King of Wands. I think in this picture in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, to me, he looks ready for action, really. He's fueled, I think, by the fire of his passion for life. And in this card, we can see lions on his throne. And we can also see what I think is a little salamander down here, which are both sort of symbols of fire, aren't they? So his archetype might be something like a preacher. This is a man of leadership, someone who has steady powers of concentration and the will to manifest his vision, most importantly. He can be a master of wit and charm. He's warm and generous with a good sense of humour. This is a strong and educated man with an abundance of vision and foresight. He's intuitive and able to make good decisions based on that. He's optimistic, conscientious, honest, loyal and devoted and fatherly. This is a man who has an air of command, who could overthrow the old with his new and bold ideas, so he'd be a great innovator. He always, I think, has to lead the charge. His kingdom is one of philosophy. He's a charismatic and energetic man who you will either love or hate, I think. He's focused and goal-driven with strong values and judgments. In his lower realms, he could be jealous, impatient, tyrannical, power-driven, selfish, intolerant of others, impatient, a sore loser, easily distracted, easily irritated, dogmatic, irresponsible, power-hungry, and obsessive, a fierce competitor. And in the Cosmic Tarot here, I think the only thing I have to say about this is that this is Sean Connery. I think this was based on Sean Connery in his younger days. A very, very handsome and enigmatic, charismatic man. Dangerous, I think, dangerous. And then in the Mary L deck, we have got, where's the King of Wands? Here we are. I think this is a stunning card, actually. I love that card. So it says here, the kings have control and mastery over their elements. They are the kingdom, the land, the foundation, and the strength. The King of Wands has control over his own energy, passion, creativity, and his spirituality. He knows what he wants, he knows what to do, and his illumination leads others. The god depicted in this image is Shamash, or Utu, the Sumerian sun god, whose main attribute was righteousness and justice, as he illuminated what was previously dark, wrong, or misdeeds. What else have we got here? The symbol on his forehead is the Sumerian or Babylonian symbol for Utu or Shamash. And his eye has the Udjat or Eye of Horus symbol, stylized after the eye of the peregrine falcon, as Horus is often pictured as. This is a healing and protective symbol that warns off evil through the illuminating light of the sun. It's almost like he's on fire within, isn't he? We can see the sun behind him, but I don't know, all of this here just makes me think that he's sort of almost on fire from within, really. In his upright position, this is a natural leader, a director, a boss, a ruler. He's the most kingly of all kings, I think, in terms of an archetype of a ruler. He has entrepreneurial vision, ambition and optimism, and the skills to use it. He's proud, dignified, mature and experienced. He's got self-respect and self-esteem and personal worth. And he's someone who brings the magic and the fire into life. But in a reversed position, this is somebody vain, egotistical, conceitful, arrogant, overconfident, overambitious, not a natural leader, and success in business will be delayed. So, really interesting, the cards. I've really enjoyed doing this today. I think, I don't know, I love the King of Pentacles here. I think he's got a really warm face full of kindness and character. I really like him. But also, I mean, who doesn't like Sean Connery? Wow. Although I've read things about Sean Connery over the years that in his personal life he was not a very nice man, and perhaps guilty of some of the traits of the lower realms of the King of Wands, but to look at, a very handsome man. So there we go. The Kings. So I shall be back at some point with the minor arcana, and I'm going to do the same. I'll start at the aces and we'll look at all the suits and so on. But I think I'm going to also do a few other sort of little videos in this Learn Tarot series. I'm going to look at some of my favourite major arcana cards, court cards, and minor arcana. I might also look at some of my favourite swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. So I've got lots of ideas, and I'm really looking forward to having a think about those and come up with some videos. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do give me a thumbs up if you have. Please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. That would be fantastic to have your support. And please do leave me a comment in the comment section. Tell me who your favourite king is. That would be wonderful. And I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.